Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Tuesday, the 8th of April, and this is an educational video. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. It is purely for educational only, and it is just to show you how I try to read the map or the charts from a technical analysis point of view, and how you can also maybe learn from this. And today, this morning, we'll start with a couple of the beaten down stocks in US that could be of interest. We have Apple that got beaten again yesterday, but found support here around 176, dipping just below it. And if we're zooming out a little bit, we can see where it comes from. It comes from this gap area here, back from, well, May last year, so that's how far back we are. There's still divergence on the there's no divergence on the RSI. Sorry. Let's see here. If we add a horizontal, we can see that actually there's no divergence, indicating we could see lower lows. But you should also have to remember that when we are in this position here, the when you are trading equities, you are either long or short. Most of you, there's very few of you, I guess, that can actually short a stock. So underlying bias will always be long, despite the sell-off here, of course. So it's not all the time that that often we see a divergence here before market turns around. We had it bounced also during the trading session yesterday. We can see here on the weekly chart, it actually bounced from the 200 weekly moving average and the support area. So we are still in negative sentiment. So there is still a downside risk. So it's not a recommendation to buy on the dip. Here we have Tesla that touched the support here just around 213.65. These lows here, that was the low close here back in October last year. It bounced from this during the session yesterday. Will it hold or will it not hold? That will be the key question. There's no divergence on the RSI, and also adding a trend line. This is what you can do. You can draw trend lines on the RSI. It actually broken below its trend line there in this bounce, but we could see a bounce here the next few days. And you can see aftermarket, it was up about $1, so it's not that much. Here on the weekly, 212 key support, negative sentiment indicating lower levels, but maybe we'll see a little bit of bounce. And I think it eventually will take out the 212, but it is not a given. So again, it's not an advice. And let's just have a look at the Semiconductor ETF slash sector, the SOXX ETF here. That has been sold out heavily. We had this diamond-shaped like pattern here, top and reversal, with a potential lower, and it seems to bounce just before the 145 support area, 144.5, and could bounce here the next couple of days. Some of the single stocks in the semiconductor industry found some good bids yesterday. Moving on to the actual indices, S&P 500 closed almost unchanged, only about 0.25% down. But during the session, and we can see it here on the weekly chart, it dipped below 4,953 support, almost down to the 4,800 minor support before it bounced, but we closed above. So let's see here in the next couple of days. Maybe we could see a bounce higher. And if it can get back above 5,200, maybe then it will start trying to close this gap here. But that will be key towards this gap area here. Will it close it or not? That will really be key here the next few days. If it takes out the lows here from yesterday, well, then there's potential down to around 4,600. Here short term, we can say, or here the pre-market, we are up about 1%. So we are bouncing a little bit. And let's just have a look at, we can use the Fibonacci to kind of guesstimate how much we could bounce to, possibly up to at least the 5,200 level. But we could see it up to 5,400 if market really is being calmed with what's coming out of the White House here the next few days. The Nasdaq 100 closed slightly in the plus. But still, there's no divergence on the negative sentiment on the RSI, indicating we could see lower levels. Not saying we'll do that. It depends what's going on here the next few days, and we can see pre-market we are up another % here. And if we also add Fibonacci to this one, we can kind of have an idea how much it could actually trade higher. We have bounced already during the session above the 38.2 retracement, almost up to 50% of it. So maybe we'll see a bounce up to around 18,800. But if it takes out the lows, then we are in for a rough ride lower towards the 200 weekly moving average. Also, the Dow Jones Index, it actually a lot of volatility in today, but didn't get anywhere. Closed almost down 1%. So let's see here, pre-market we are up about 1%. So trying also to bounce a bit. And let's see here if we add Fibonacci to that one also. We had some levels around, we almost at the 38.2 at 38,900. Could bounce up to 40,000, maybe 40,400. Before moving on to the European indices, let's just have a look at what's happening or has happened in the Asian market this morning with the Hang Seng 200 moving average on the daily, adding to the support area at 19,664. So we didn't even touch it. So it seems like we have some good support in this region. So if it doesn't take out that, well, then maybe could also see a bounce the next few days, but can it get it back above 21,000? If it can, well, then it will start trying at least to close this massive gap here, but it can be a tough one. If it takes out 19,664, well, then there's potential down to 18,670 level. In the European market, massive sell-off has of course been hit. The EUROSTOXX 50 dipped below 45.71 support, almost down to the stronger support here at 44.76, but then it bounced. Still negative sentiment, no divergence, but here pre-market we are about 0.7%, and we can see here also on the weekly, here's the EU50 CFD. And let's see if we add Fibonacci to this one, so we could see maybe a bounce up to the 38.2. It already did that during the session yesterday. Well, it didn't bounce really. So let's see if we can get back above 49 and possibly up to the 200 daily moving average, just above 5,000. DAX index also massive sell-off, but actually a little bit different behavior. It opened much lower, so and then it bounced throughout the session, still closed well down, but it spiked. It was massive volatility. Some of the shares actually closed almost unchanged after being down about 20%, so pretty massive volatility there. Pre-market here, we up about 0.25%. We could bounce further, so let's see if we add Fibonacci to this sell-off here also, and during the session yesterday, all it bounced to the 38.2. We could see it up to around 21,000, where we have some stronger resistance. So let's see if the market can lift it a little bit here. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, we can see how important 18,900 level is, 18,800. Then we are looking at 17,400. FX and euro dollar, that has been trading a little bit choppy also here lately after spiking higher. I think now it seems to be resuming uptrend. We are still in an uptrend. It was a little bit stressed, so we should have a correction, and we could push higher towards 112.75 on the medium term. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then we could see it sliding lower towards 108, 107.30. 107.30 is the key support to watch out for. If that's taken out, well, then we are seeing lower levels. Cable sterling dollar has broken out of its rising channel here and below the lower rising trend line, down to support at 127.15 and the 55 moving average, and I think it will start bouncing now. And let's remove this one. Excuse me. If it can get back above 128.65, then I think we could see our trend to resume. But if it takes out the lows here at 107.17, sorry, then we are in for a test of 125.65 possibly. Euro sterling just pushing higher, already surpassing 200% of this correction phase here. So let's see what we could be moving on to. We talked about it yesterday. There's potential up to 86.45 in this region there. That is the next resistance, but it seems like it could push higher in the coming weeks, maybe even up to around 87.50 60 level. Positive sentiment all around, indicating higher levels, but we will of course see some corrections, and it is a little bit stressed at the moment, so expect a correction from around the 86 maybe, but let's see. We don't have a chopper reversal in place just yet. The yen pairs also a fairly strong bounce the past few days of the 144.80 support. Well, it reached the 138.2 retracement projection, sorry, of this. So and now I added a Fibonacci from this top here to this trough here, and we are currently taking back 50% of the sell-off. And I think maybe we could see it pushing up to the 61.8 at 148.65. But let's see, it is struggling a little bit, and still negative sentiment on the RSI. There's minor divergence here, so we are a little bit in a limbo. We could resume downtrend. If it takes out 146.5, then I think we'll see it resuming downtrend. Euro yen, massive volatility without actually getting anywhere, as you can see here. Massive volatility the past few days. Currently trading just below the 200 moving average, so we tucked in again between the 55 and the 200, and we have the 100 here in the middle. So that seems to be where the fighting is going on, and sometimes the bears and the bulls are they're really struggling of fighting each other. We could see a spike up to 162.90 with the 786 retracement of this big volatility range here. The Aussie yen bounced off 86.55, just a little bit low, almost down to 86, and has bounced 38.2 retracement. I think we maybe could see a bounce up to the 61.8 and the resistance at 91.80, and then I think we will see a downtrend to resume. So there's a little bit of relief at the moment. We can see here 86 key level on the Aussie yen that we just turn around on. The sterling yen, also massive move the past, towards the end of last week and starting the week, bouncing almost to, well, we could see it up to the 38.2 retracement and just below 190. Strong resistance here at 192. I'm not quite sure we'll get up there. Support at 183.75 could be tested on the medium term. Still negative sentiment on the weekly, indicating lower levels. Aussie dollar, also massive sell-off we saw towards the end of last week. Bounced this morning here, and we could see a bounce continuing higher towards 38.2 at 61, possibly up to half of it. We have seen that a lot. You can see here on the just around 0.60, that is a key support area. I know we dipped well below, but it seems to be quite strong in that region here, just around 60. I think we'll see a bounce, but we are in a bearish trend that could take Aussie dollar lower. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then we are looking at 58 level. Dollar Canada, massive volatility also there. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see. So downtrend has been confirmed, but it was a strong bounce we saw Friday, and then seems to be sliding lower again. We could see it low, pushing to 139 or 139 and a quarter, and also the 200 moving average where we have some support. It needs to take out 144 to the upside for to push higher. Sterling Canada, also extreme volatility yesterday, but we are trading around and dipped to the 61.8 retracement at 180.75, around that level. There is some support here. We also have the 100 moving average coming up. It is not unlikely that we continue low because we have the negative sentiment on the RSI indicating likely lower levels, but let's see if it can bounce off here the next 24 hours. If it bounces off and stays above the cloud, then I think we could see it trying to push above 183.75. Euro Swiss also extremely volatile, dipped yesterday below 93.30 support, but closed well above, and we are just around the lower part of cloud here. We are in a bearish trend, negative sentiment indicating we could see another push lower and test this at 93.30. Possibly looking down on these levels here, 92.85, 92.55. If it takes out that, well, then we're looking much lower in the coming days and weeks. And let's just resize this. Then we're looking at 92 level down there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit further bounce out to 94.50 before the next pressure coming in. Dollar Swiss still depressed. Massive volatility yesterday without getting anywhere after dipping below 85. Trying to get back above 86.15, but has failed. It's now testing this 85.50 again. So the next 24 hours could be quite crucial for dollar Swiss, in which direction it will move. I think it will be to the downside, but it's not a recommendation advice. But if it takes out 84.50, well, then we are looking at 83.30, 83 level. But there's still a correction level, correction potential, almost moved up to the 61.8. So if it takes out the peak of the high today, well, then expect a move up to around 87. And on the dollar index, a bounce, and then it starts to moving south again. And let's see how much, just for the kick of it, how much it actually bounced. It bounced up to just above the 61.8 retracement, but let's just remove that. However, if it takes out the highs from yesterday, we could see a push up to around 104, but I think we'll see it being pushed towards the support levels here around 100 again. 101, sorry. Gold on the move, also a lot of volatility, got sent below 3,000 yesterday to the support at 2,955, and the touching dipping just below the 61.8 retracement at 29.60, and now we have bounced here. Still positive sentiment on the RSI. If we can get back above 3,060 and back above this resistance level here, then uptrend is set to resume. We are currently trading back above 3,000. If it takes out the lows from yesterday and 2,554, well, then we could see a push down to 2,900, 28.80. So that will be key possibly here the next couple of days, maybe within the next 24 hours. What will it do? Will it resume uptrend? The silver, massive move we have seen there, massive sell-off towards the end of the week, bounced yesterday, dipped below the 28.74 support, and has bounced a bit up to the 38.2 retracement. If it can get back up there, maybe there's potential up to 31.80 and 31.20, which is 61.8 retracement, testing this trend line here. But it will be key if it can take out the peak from yesterday or not. If it takes out the lows, well, then we are looking at lower levels in the region 27.70 or 26. Copper got hammered over the past few last week, and starting the week also being pushed to almost 404 level here. Could be bouncing up to the 38.2 retracement at 454. It will be a struggle, no question about it, but I think we could see a test of these 449, 454 levels here fairly short. If it can take out those, well, then suddenly we're looking at 470, up where we also have the 55 moving average. But it will be a bit of a struggle, I think. Crude oil, well, it's bounced also. Was very volatile yesterday. Here is the WTI, but it didn't get anywhere at the end of the day and or the settlement time. Maybe we could bounce up to 64 or 65, 60, maybe even up to 67.20, which is 61.8 retracement. There's some resistance here, just around 65.22. So let's see if it takes out the lows from yesterday. Well, then we are looking at much lower levels that could take it down to 57, maybe even lower. Brent crude oil Also, as massive volatility yesterday. Can it bounce and get out of this? I would use the range from yesterday for direction. If it takes out to the upside, we could be looking at 70 and a half. If it takes out to the downside, well, then we are looking at $60, possibly lower. The European gas, TTF gas, spiked below 34.70 yesterday and seems to be bouncing a little bit. It could be bouncing up to, and let's just also add Fibonacci to that. And this is what you use it for. And I use this, the last leg down there. Well, maybe we could see it up to around $40 in this region, around also 61.8 retracement. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, I also use that one as a proxy or as a range. Then we are looking at much lower levels. Henry Hub, nat gas, US nat gas that closed yesterday below 374. Could be pushing lower. Currently finding some support here around the 100 moving average. If it can get back above 375, well, then maybe then we are in a neutral territory. Interest rates bounced strongly towards the end of the session last night, back up to the 61.8 retracement at 418 and a bit, and this is where we are just around at the moment. And it was 61.8 of this drop here. If it starts moving back below 410, well, then we could see a push towards 4%. If it can take out the peak here from yesterday, well, then there's potential up to 428. So let's see about that. We can see also here what it did. Medium term, it actually reached the 138 of this move up here and then projected down. But it was a big shoulder pattern that has been unwheeled, and we reached the potential targets. The 2-year Treasury yields bounced also towards the end of the session. I think it will bounce further today towards 378. Could be a struggle to get higher up than that. But it could get up to the 786 at just below 390. But let's see if it starts sliding back below 360. Well, then maybe downtrend could resume and we could see a push lower. On the European yields, here we have the EU10 massive volatility. We have seen that, and it's bounced strongly off the 786 retracement at just around 2.5. So what we can do now, we can actually add Fibonacci to this move here, and then we can say, okay, it actually bounced up to 38.2 retracement. Let's see, hang on, let me just grab this one. There we are, so we can see what's because the colors are not. Let's see, no, not to say 32 retracement, and well, it could bounce all the way up to possibly, if it takes out the peak from yesterday at the 270, well, then we could see a 275. If it slides back below 255, then we could see another pressure down here at the lows. The UK 10 also very strong bounce yesterday, back up to the 61.8 retracement. So if I add Fibonacci to this sell-off here, you can see that it will actually move to that same level. So very strong bounce indeed, and there's strong resistance here also with the rising trend line. Bitcoin bounced back after dipping below 76,555. So it still stays above this range here, almost dipping to the support here just around 73,000. Let's see if it takes out the lows from yesterday, then I think we will actually push below 73,000. Let's see if it can crawling back above 82,000. I doubt it at the moment. We have the Ethereum that pushed lower, just below the 1370 support. Could still test it, but we are in a bearish trend, and it really needs to move back above 1800 and back above the upper falling trend line to at least start establishing a bullish trend. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and be careful out there.